Welcome to a reading vlog where I'm going to be reading a highly buzzed about thriller called Look Closer by David Ellis. I've heard so many good things about this book. I've been seeing so many great reviews for it, and it just seems so random to me. I was like, what is that book? Who is that author? I've never heard of that. Where did this come from? Why is this being so buzzed about? It seems so out of nowhere, and I was getting FOMO. I had to see what it was all about, and so when I picked up the book, I decided to start filming my experience. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a vlog featuring multiple books or just this, but it turned into a video just featuring this book because I had enough to say about it. So I'm gonna send you back in time to when I was first beginning the book, and you can see my journey of reading this book and see if it lived up to the hype. So I am 50 pages into Look Closer, which felt like a really good spot for a first impression take on the book. I will say the book is longer than I thought it was going to be. I had no reason to expect it would be any sort of length, but it is just kind of a little bit of a thicker book and the text is smaller and filled on the page. So it does feel like it's going to be a little bit of a longer read, but it is a fast read because they're very short chapters and it does hook you pretty quickly because the story begins with this chapter of this man walking past this woman who is hanging from a noose in seemingly her house, and you have no idea, did he kill this woman? Why? What's their relation? If he didn't kill this woman, why is he just casually around her dead body? Don't really know what's going on, but it's Halloween, and then he walks out of the house. And then you start to learn more about what's going on by going back in time and getting this main man's perspective, Simon, his wife Vicky's perspective as well, and then you also get Simon's journal entries or like diary entries. And you start to piece together that Simon and Vicky are married, but it's not a great marriage. Seems like Simon really loves Vicky and maybe Vicky doesn't love him back as much. But then there is this woman, Lauren, who is the woman that was dead in the beginning of the story, who is Simon's ex from like 20 years ago, who he's really obsessed with. It's giving Joe Goldberg from You vibes with the way you're reading about it and just how he's so entranced with her and obsessed with her and starts writing in this journal about her and starts trying to figure out where she goes and when and trying to meet up with her. And then you are also getting the perspective of Vicky, the wife, and you're learning she's not really who she says that she is. And you're like, does Simon know that? Does nobody know that? What's Vicky doing? And so every character is very interesting so far. The setup is interesting so far. It feels like there's going to be all of these secrets. It feels like there may even be some deception that the author is playing on you, the reader. And I have some predictions already in the first 50 pages because I'm a big thriller reader. I've seen a lot of plot twists out there. I have a couple ideas for how this could go, but I'm trying to not think about it because I really just want to have a good time. I really just want to sit back, relax, and let a thriller take me on a journey. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So far, I am definitely into the story. I like the writing style. It reads really quickly and everything's looking good at this moment. So that is my first impression. Hello, back for an update on Look Closer. I am currently 157 pages into the book. Can you stop looking back there? Thank you. I feel like it might be interesting for you to know, or it might add some clarity to this process. I have no idea what video I'm filming right now. I started reading this book and I was like, this has been a hyped book. I'll start vlogging around it. I don't know if this is going to be a vlog featuring multiple books or if it's just going to be featuring this book, if this is a dedicated vlog. So there's either gonna be way too many updates or not enough, depending on what this ends up becoming, but I'm just updating when it feels natural. And I read a good portion of the book last night, so I thought it would be a good place to stop and check in and let you know how I feel about the book. I'm definitely still interested in the story. I'm increasingly interested, I would say. Like, it is a gripping read. The more you read, the more it gets you wanting to turn the pages. And I think part of why I'm not like really excited about that, because typically if I'm reading a thriller and it's a page turner, I get really excited about it. I think right now I'm just kind of struggling in general to get excited about kind of anything in life, in books, in movies. I just have been, you know, in a little bit of a gray area lately. Don't know what that's about, hoping that resolves itself soon, but I do feel like that's why I'm not like yelling from the rooftops about my excitement for the book. I just generally feel good, like I'm having a good time, I'm interested. It has an interesting setup and it's just not exactly what you would expect of a book that looks like this. Like this just kind of looks generic to me. It just looks like an average domestic thriller. It just feels like a book I would never pick up ever unless I had heard all these good things about it. It is. I just can't imagine picking this up. And I've been trying to figure out where this came from. Why is this so buzzed right now? Possibly TikTok. I don't know. I cannot figure out where this came from and why it is getting so much attention. It's not even that new, I don't believe. But I was looking at this author a little bit, and I think it said that he wrote books with James Patterson, if I'm remembering. Yeah, he's written 8 books with James Patterson. So I guess when you write books with James Patterson, your name just gets recognized on the shelves anyways. But I'm just going on a tangent. What I wanted to say was I'm not fully loving the writing style. Like it feels a little bit cheesy, but if the book's going to be over the top, then I'm like, okay, the cheesiness is fine. I'm trying to figure out if it's taking itself seriously or not, I guess is what I'm getting at. And it's kind of hard because I'm still a little bit early on in the story to really get a sense of that. But everyone in this book is unlikable. Like every character is flawed and unlikable and hiding things from you and hiding things from other people and just not generally a good person. And so everyone kind of reads either like a weirdo or like an evil villain a little bit. And so that's coming off a little bit cheesy. But again, like if it's embracing that, then I think it's gonna be fine. I think it'll be a fun time. And it seems like it's going to be that. So all of that to say, I would rate my experience right now as like a 4-star. I'm feeling good, I'm very intrigued. I like that everyone has these secrets. I love it when people have secrets from one another. I like when the reader gets to be in on some of those secrets. It keeps you really hooked because you know things and you're waiting for other characters to catch up to that. Creates some nice dramatic irony in the story. And I also really like that the chapters are very short because that is always enjoyable for a thriller, especially one as chunky as this, which is over 400 pages. It does help that the chapters read very quickly. So that's where I'm at now. I guess I'm gonna update you again, probably in like another 100 pages or so. I'm just gonna read as much as I read tonight, and then whenever I feel like sitting down and filming an update again, I will do so. Good evening. I am about 300 pages into the book. It's 450-ish pages long, so probably around like 75% of the way through the story. And I read a lot last night, and I'm planning on finishing it tonight. So this is the penultimate update before I finish the book. It's fun. It's a fun book. It reads so fast. You can really get lost in this. I think, just missing out on a little bit of the joy of a fun thriller because I'm just being annoying right now. But like, this is a pretty fun book. It is like, I don't know if it's taking itself too seriously or not. I don't feel like it is. Like, it's a little bit dark humor in a way. The characters will sometimes break the fourth wall, and it's like, I'm gonna let you in on this joke. Like, here's this thing that's actually been going on. And so I feel like it's making light of itself. So I am liking that. It reads so quickly. It is such a fast read. These chapters just fly by. You can really just get lost in the book. And it's very twisty. Like, there's reveals all the time about different things that are going on. I have not been shocked yet with it though. I have not been like, oh my gosh, wow, I never saw that coming, or I had no idea that was going on. Like, everything that has been revealed has been something that I'm like, yeah, I kind of thought that might have been the case. But despite me not trying to solve it, like, I can't stop my brain from trying to solve this. So I think if I could turn my brain off a little bit more, maybe some of these things could be surprises for me. But there is one particular thing that I have been trying to piece together that I don't know the answer to yet. And I feel like that is what's going to be this big twist at the end. And so I still feel like there's hope that I'm gonna be super surprised by something. But so far I'm just like, oh yeah, that was clever. Kind of saw that coming though. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense for this character, that this is what has been happening. And I just really, really want that shock factor. I love when a thriller can just really, really surprise you. So I'm really hoping I get a surprise in the end that really pulls it all together for me. But to this point still, like, I'm still having a good time. I would still rate it highly. It is a very fun read. I do feel like it's probably just too long. Like, unless the end really does something wild, you've been kind of building on this timeline that you anticipate from the beginning because you know something happens Halloween day, and then you go back in time, you're leading up to Halloween. And it's like taking a really long time to get back to that Halloween and then see what happens after that Halloween. And I'm like, oh, this feels like 100 pages too long, because I feel like right about now is when I would want the book to be like wrapping itself up, but it just keeps stretching on and on and on in the middle. Again, maybe my opinion will change on that by the end once I see what takes up the last 100 pages and makes this a 450 page long book. So we shall see. I'm gonna go finish the book and then I will let you know my final thoughts. I finished with closer last night and I have thoughts about it. Overall, I do think this is a really fun to read thriller. It's very fun, it's very twisty. There's a lot of little reveals along the way that keep you really engaged in the story, and it goes pretty quickly, but I stand by it's way too long. It is way too long. It's 100 pages too long. This could have been 100 pages shorter and just more compact, and it would have had a lot more of a punch, but it just keeps you dragging on for so long to get to that point. They're like, oh my gosh, come on, like, let's get to the point of what happened. I still think it was good. I still think it was fun, and I did get the big shock moment I was hoping for. This did have a moment where I went, oh, and I like stared at the page like, no way, how did that happen? And I did not catch on to it. So I was really happy to get that feeling from a book because I just love being surprised from a thriller. I love having a big shock moment where you're just like, I truly did not see that coming. And that was really, really exciting, especially because all the little reveals that came along the way I did see coming. And I don't know if that was like intentional all the time. There's definitely some times where it leads you to something and I feel like it wants you to find things out before characters do. But there's some things where I'm like, oh, that was supposed to be a reveal, but I already was kind of guessing that that was what was going on. And so getting that really gratifying, huge shock moment really helped solidify the ending of the book for me. In general, there's a lot going on throughout this book and it's a lot to keep up with. And I think part of that is because it's so long. So I think making it shorter would have also made it easier to keep up with, because sometimes you're finding things out that the characters don't know. And it's a little bit difficult to keep track of what actually happened, what some people think happened, what some people are lying about what's happened. And because it goes in a different kind of jumping around the timeline sort of thing, and you get different POVs, like it is a lot to keep up with. It's not so much that it's impossible to follow in the story, but it just created a little bit of a difficult experience that I think would have been fixed if it was just shorter and faster to get through. I mean, 450 pages is super long for a thriller like this. It really did not need to be this long. One more complaint that I have with the story is I don't understand why there's a detective point of view in this book. I felt like that was literally so useless. I don't feel like it added anything to the story other than just bloating the novel that was already too long in my opinion. I really wish the detective point of view wasn't in the book. And that doesn't have anything to do with my general distaste towards detective POVs. It's just like it doesn't work in this book very well. It doesn't really add anything. It just kind of adds distraction. And by the way it all plays out, it really becomes really useless in this book in my opinion. And I think it could have just been cut and kept the focus on your main players in this book. So overall, I would recommend this book to you if you really like fast-paced thrillers, if you like to have a lot of little reveals along the way, if you like stories about deception and betrayal, and especially if you like the cat and mouse style of a thriller, because this is definitely that, where there are just different players always trying to get one step ahead of the other people, and it just like pushes and pulls a lot. It also reminds me of Samantha Downing's books, if you like her style of writing where she has these like bad characters that you can't help but be intrigued by, then I think you're really going to like this book. I think for my final rating, I'm gonna land on like a 4-star for it because I did have a good fun time. Even though I do have several complaints, it was an enjoyable experience and it gave me that big shock moment, which really adds a lot of points at the end for me. Will I be reading from this author again? I don't imagine that I will. I saw in the back of this that he has 10 novels of crime fiction as well as 8 books co-authored with James Patterson. I'm not particularly interested in James Patterson books, and there was nothing about this book that made me really want to go check out anything else from this author. But if anything else from him ever gets a lot of buzz again, I'm sure I will be attracted to the buzz because I just get FOMO and I just have to read these buzzy thrillers just to see what it's all about. So that is it for the vlog. It went better than expected. I'm always a little bit nervous with hyped thrillers that I'm going to have my expectations way too high and then get disappointed, but I mean it went pretty good. I ended up with a 4-star, so I would call that a win. Let me know down in the comments below if you have read this book and what you think of it, or let me know if I convinced you to pick it up. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!